What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another week of Premier League predictions. We're going into week 17 after a terrible week 16 of predictions from us, but that's kind of how it goes when you think you know it. You don't know nothing at all. Are you ready for this, Eric?
Yeah, let's do this.
We can't do much worse, right?
Nope.
We're 40%, both 4 and 6. But, that's
Jeez.
just a little below average. We're about 50%. So,
Yeah.
starting off, we got Nottingham Forest versus Tottenham.
Yep. So Nottingham Forest took the 1-1 draw against Wolves last week. It was a half decent showing from them. I think that both teams played well and had the opportunity to win the game. It just didn't happen for either team. So I think that the fact that Nottingham did walk away with the draw is good for them, especially against a Wolves squad. Like we've said so far this season, has the real potential to perform very highly. They are going up against Spurs. Spurs took a 4-1 over Newcastle, so they did bounce back and they have been, returning to form, which is a really good thing to see from Spurs. I think the Spurs have been playing well, and are definitely worth being in the title contention. I think that they are still on that outskirt and probably rightly so, but they do have the potential to come in and play with the best. So I think this week Nottingham versus Spurs pretty straightforward. I think it's going to be a Spurs win. They need to get as many points back as they can.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Spurs looked like they got back on track. Who did they? They had a 4-1 win, right, over Newcastle?
Yep.
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 So they look good in that one. And Newcastle is not a pushover squad, so that's a good win for Tottenham. I got Tottenham as well. Moving on, we got Burnley versus Everton. I'm going to say it again until this Everton hype dies. I'm riding it. I like what I'm seeing from Everton.
Yeah, so Burnley took the 1-1 draw with Brighton, which was a really good showing from Burnley. I think that being able to go and put up a draw against Brighton is a good thing. You would have liked to see the win from them, but you take what you can get if you're Burnley, and I think taking a draw against Brighton is very good. Like you said, they are going against a really good. They are going up against a really hot Everton team who beat Chelsea 2-0 and have had a really good streak going recently. And I think it's really tough to say no to them. So I think that in terms of just looking at the teams and how they've been performing recently, Burnley have been playing well. They have had their down week, but they are performing better than they were earlier in the season, and I think it's really showing. But the same can more than definitely be said about Everton, who's had an amazing streak recently, and especially beating a team like Chelsea is a really good showing from them. So I think I'm taking Everton as well.
Let's go, the Everton hype. Moving on, we got Bournemouth, who had a great 3-0 win. I can't remember, over Man United, that's right.
Yep.
And Luton, who also had a good showing from facing a tough Man City squad, although Man City's still looking like they're struggling. They got the win, so you can't deny them of anything there. But Luton, this could be a good matchup.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. So yeah, Bournemouth did put up a 3-0 over United, which is a really good showing from Bournemouth. They have really been, coming out and playing well in the past few weeks and really making a statement as to, what they're here to do. And I think it's really starting to come through that Bournemouth is a really good squad that needs to be, paid attention to. Maybe not gonna, break into the top five, but definitely a strong squad in the middle of the table. They're going up against Luton, who, like we've said in the past weeks, have been progressively getting better, and they did put up a really good showing against City. City is one of the toughest teams to beat this year, and Luton put up a goal and made it a 2-1 game. I think it's a really good showing from Luton, considering where they started this season and where they're at right now, especially up against a City squad. So I think this game can go any which way. I think it's really just going to come down to how the players decide to attack this, and what kind of crucial decisions they can make and what's going to happen. I think that just going off of these two teams, though, I kind of like the fact that Luton's been playing well and they've progressively gotten better. So I think it's it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and I think either team can take the win. I think it's also just as likely that this game can end in a draw. But I think I'm going to take Luton this week.
All right. I like that pick. I'm also looking for a reason to pick Luton. I'm just not quite convinced in this one, although I would be super ecstatic for them if they did get a win. I'm going with Bournemouth just based off of that performance last week, but I like your confidence in Luton. I wish I was there yet, but I'm not. And I think another good thing to pay attention to is I think all these really good performances from Luton have been at home. So I'll be excited to see if they can put up a really solid performance on the road. I think that will get them over the next kind of hurdle for them to perform at a higher level. But for now, I'm going to have to stick with Bournemouth, but I give you credit for that Luton pick. I want to see them get better. Moving on,
Yep.
we got Chelsea versus Sheffield United. Like, who knows how this is going to go?
Yeah, so like we said, Chelsea took the 2-0 loss to Everton, which is a rough loss for Chelsea. You really want to win that game. Yeah, Everton's been a really hot squad recently. But if you're Chelsea, you really want to win that game. That's a game you probably should win. It's a game you've won in the past a lot. And Chelsea just has that energy to be able to beat teams like that, and they just didn't show up with it last week. I think that Chelsea's kind of been, like we said, on that roller coaster ride of how they perform, and this was just another one of their lows. And I think that Everton just took advantage of them. So Chelsea really needs to pull it back and make a difference here. Sheffield, though, took a win this week over Brentford, which is a really good showing for them. And I think that Sheffield is kind of here and making a statement that they are still, able to play with squads. We didn't predict them to beat Brentford. We kind of said that, Brentford would go in, show Sheffield what was up, and, walk out. Sheffield didn't see it that way, and they went and took the win, which is a really good thing for them, and I think that they can continue to progress. So just in general, between these two teams, Chelsea and Sheffield, I have no clue. If Chelsea's on a high day, they can just run over Sheffield. If Chelsea's on a low day, there's half a shot that Sheffield runs away with this and wins it themselves. So I think, between the fact that both of these teams have the chance to win, I think I'm going to take a draw.
All right, that's a fair enough pick. When you don't know which way it's going to go, just go draw. But yeah, we have to give Sheffield United their credit on that. We kind of overlooked them in that Brentford matchup, but that was a solid Brentford team for them to go up against, and they went in there, got the win. And Chelsea's problem is just kind of getting their stuff together and being consistent. So that's kind of what keeps them a wild card at this point. I think I'm going to have to go with Chelsea, though, just kind of going with the bandwagon of points and where people stand right now. But that obviously means nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to go with Chelsea, playing a safe route. Moving on, Man City versus Crystal Palace.
Yeah, so City Palace, this should be a good game to watch. Palace took the 2-1 loss to Liverpool last week. It was a half decent showing from them. They did put up they did put up a goal up against Liverpool, which is a good showing for them, and I think that was a good game. In general, I think that they played well and they made it competitive with Liverpool, which is really all you can ask for if you're Crystal Palace. They are going up against another really tough squad in City. City cannot, afford to keep dropping points. They need to regain some ground and start to catch up to Liverpool, Villa, and Arsenal right now. So I think that with City coming off of that 2-1 win over Luton, coming into a game against Palace, I think City should win this game, and I think they will win this game. It's pretty straightforward. I think that CP has the ability to put up a competitive game. I think that City's just going to have the edge in the end.
You think who's going to win?
City.
Okay, I thought you said CP was going to have the edge. Yeah, I also think Man City's going to win. If Man City loses this game, they're going to be scrambling. There's going to be a lot of chaos in that Manchester City squad. So they really need to get a dub here. Like you said, they can't afford to lose those points if they still want to be a title contender, because who knows, before you know it, they could get their stuff together and become a tank again. Who knows? So it's just kind of a weird stage for Man City, but I'm going to stick with Man City win. Moving on, we got Newcastle versus Fulham, who just came off a great win. Fulham did.
Yeah, so Newcastle-Fulham, you're coming off of a 50-50 split here. Fulham came off of a 5-0 win over West Ham last week, which is a really good showing for them. West Ham has the tendency to kind of bomb, and we've seen it before, but they also have the ability to put up a really solid defense, and I think that Fulham came through and played well and showed that they are here and can put up against a solid defense like West Ham. Not taking anything away from Fulham, but West Ham just didn't entirely show up last week. They didn't play to their full potential, and Fulham definitely took advantage of it, and that's a good showing from them. They are going up against Newcastle. Newcastle did lose 4-1 to Spurs last week. Kind of a rough loss for them. They are still on that fringe line of being in the top 5. So Newcastle's really looking for wins right now and as many points as they can grab. So I think this is going to be a good week for Newcastle to try and grab a couple more. I think that Fulham just needs to ironclad their defense and just lock up. And if they can do that and they can keep, Newcastle away from the goal and, limit as many chances as possible, I think that they should have a good chance here in this game. But unfortunately, I think that Newcastle is just going to take the edge in this game and win.
Dang, I was going with the hype. I picked Fulham.
Ooh, that's a fair shout.
This is gonna be another iffy matchup. Who knows which way it's gonna go, but we shall see. Moving on, we
Yep.
got Arsenal versus Brighton.
Yeah, so Arsenal Brighton. So Brighton took the 1-1 draw with Burnley. So it wasn't the best of showings from Brighton. They have had better, games and better showings, but you go in, you play. It was kind of a short week. You're running on lower energy. I think that Brighton can make a comeback off of this, but you really didn't want to drop points to Burnley if you're Brighton. I mean, they are lower team on the table right now, and Brighton should have just probably ran. It isn't what happened. You just got to move on. They are going up against Arsenal, though, and Arsenal's had some interesting changes in terms of where they sit in the table. They lost to Villa last week, 1-0. Not the best showing from Arsenal. Villa did very well. They made chances, they finished them. That's what you need to be top of the table. And Arsenal just didn't do that last week, and that's where the divide's coming. So really, Arsenal needs to be winning games again to start filling gaps and making distance. And honestly, this week is really important for them. I think that Arsenal will take the win over Brighton, but we're really going to see whether or not Arsenal can get back in the top of the table or whether they're going to start slipping.
So you got
I got Arsenal.
Arsenal. Okay, yeah, I know I kind of dogged Arsenal last week, but they're not playing a top dog this week. I don't think that low of Arsenal, so I'm also going Arsenal over Brighton. I think they can get this win. Moving on, Brentford versus Aston Villa. Like we said, Brentford, solid defensive team, so this Aston Villa squad is going to have to come out goal hungry to get this done.
Yeah, so Brentford lost last week 1-0 to Sheffield, which was kind of a surprise. We thought Brentford would play better. It just didn't happen. Sheffield took advantage of them and finished the chances and walked away with a win, which is really what you want. If you're Sheffield, Brentford needed to clean up a couple of mistakes, lock up a little better, and definitely make more chances. The more chances you create, the more likely you are to actually win the game. They just didn't make enough. And you got to finish them. I know it's kind of self-explanatory, but you have to get in there and you have to finish the chances if you're Brentford to actually win a game. They're going up against an absolute juggernaut right now, Villa, and I don't honestly think that Brentford has an incredible chance this week. I think that Villa just in general have been really good on the attack. They locked up Arsenal, giving them no goals. I think that Villa just has the edge right now. They have a really strong midfield. The attack has been great, and they're not letting in a lot of goals. So I think that Villa just has this week in the bag. So I'm going to take Villa win.
Yeah, I also agree. Villa's been proving they're a top team right now, and Brentford not so much. Even though that defense on Brentford is kind of solid to where it can kind of tip games in their favor, so Villa's just going to have to watch out for that, make sure they come out ready to play and score some goals. But I got Aston Villa because I think they will do that. West Ham versus the Wolves. This is just another wild card match. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, I would have liked to have said more about this match, but I think really it's just going to come down to what we've been saying a lot recently. West Ham has a half-decent defense. They have the ability to lock up. They have the ability to keep teams down, not allow them to get in, and they have the ability to just get in on the counterattack, make plays, and play well. It didn't happen last week against Fulham. Granted, Fulham is a good team, but we've been saying Wolves has the ability to play with the top dogs. They can go in, they can make plays, they can lock you out, they can just run you over, and I think there's half a shot that Wolves does it again this week. I think that West Ham coming off a really bad loss, they're going to be in the slumps a little bit, and I think that Wolves isn't going to make it any better. I think that they're going to come in, play well. I'm going to take a Wolves win.
You're going to take a Wolves win. This was a matchup I was also not too sure about. But I'm just going to hope the West Ham that we know that can play is going to show up, and I'm going to go with a West Ham win. You're going Wolves, you said?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going Wolves. I think if West Ham's defense shows up again, they have a good shot. But from what I saw last week against Fulham, they're gonna have to find themselves.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. And then we got finally here what we may consider the matchup of the week. Pretty big deal. Liverpool versus Manchester United.
Yep.
United coming off a tough loss, right?
Yes, 3-0 to Bournemouth.
Yeah, that's not a good look, but they're going to have a chance to show what they're made of against Liverpool. Whether they're going to be contending for a top spot or not, they still have a chance to prove something here against Liverpool.
Yeah, so this game, the most important part of this game is just the tension between the two teams. It's United, it's Liverpool. The tension is there. It's built. It is what it is. This game is not, shaping up to be, the greatest game of the century, but it's just the tension between the two teams. With Liverpool coming off of a 2-1 win against Crystal Palace, they're in pretty good shape. They're about how we expect Liverpool to be playing right now. United, like I've been saying throughout the weeks, it all depends on what players show up on what day. You've had a lot of half-decent individual performances that come in, give hope, take points away from other teams, get a win for United. They show up, and shock. And it really just comes down to if you can get enough players to click on the same day and really push the squad ahead. I'm not sure that's going to happen. If I'm looking at a player-to-player basis, if I'm one-on-oneing everybody in these, on these two teams, I'm taking most of the Liverpool players. I think that they'll just outperform most of the United squad and really cause problems for them. I think that if, something happens and everything clicks for United, they have a chance. But I think just player-to-player, lining them up one-on-one, I'm taking Liverpool. I don't think that United's going to get enough of a click going to take the win here. So I think Liverpool's got it.
Yeah, I also agree with that. Liverpool at home, I don't see them with the run they're on and competing for a title. I don't see them dropping this game. Although Manchester United could cause some havoc, who knows? We'll see. But I think Liverpool dub is in the making.
Yep.
But that wraps up our picks for this week. Hopefully we do a little better. It's going to be another crazy close week of matchups, so we have that to look forward to. And let us know down below in the comments what you guys think is going to happen this week. We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions, and be sure to share this video with your friends, family, or anybody you may know who wants to see some predictions. And we'll see you guys in week 18, and hopefully we have a great weekend of football, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you.